worst possible interpretation. Austin is a racist, which, by the way, there is zero support for. Some left-wing loons got that going on X, and I hope you all face defamation lawsuits. There's zero support for that. But let's just go with the worst case thing you could imagine, where Austin Metcalf said something racist. No one's alleging that. And that Karmelo Anthony got upset and said, yeah, I'm not leaving. And then said, go ahead, make me. And Austin Metcalf laid hands on him to make him. You still cannot pull a knife. Went through the law. You, A, cannot be the person who provoked the attack on you, in response to which you used a knife. And so he can't claim self-defense for that reason. And more importantly, B, the response to force being used against you in all 50 states in the union must be proportional to the threat. And you may not use a knife, any other means that will obviously cause death or risk serious bodily harm if that is not what's about to happen to you. Here is the police affidavit in support of the arrest. Anthony later told responding officers he was defending himself, explaining, quote, he put his hands on me.
Art, I want to put this in perspective for you, Art. Karmelo Anthony is 160 pounds. Rest in peace. Hunter is 2.
Yes, Dr. Ma is crazy. I thought this guy makes sense on most of his videos, but when I watch his takes on this issue, it makes me sick. Megyn Kelly reacted to this situation. I don't know if you've seen that video. I'm going to show you. If you've been following me keenly, you realize about 3 hours ago, I posted a video similar to this, where Dr. Ma was claiming like the media narrative toward this situation, they are biased, but his take clearly shows me who he is. Along the way, when I watch short clips about him, I used to think the guy makes a lot of sense, but here he's insane. Telling us, oh, this guy had the right to defend himself like he has all the evidence. I'm going to show you the two scenarios, Megyn Kelly's take and this guy, so you can see exactly what is going on. If you're not subscribed, please endeavor to do that, and if possible, share the video.
My phone out my hand, try to grab my bag, try to throw me out. The media is making you think it's only one. But guess what, Art? I've been text messaged by eyewitnesses. I have received text messages from eyewitnesses. And you know what they told me, Art? They said both brothers tried to jump Karmelo. Both brothers tried to jump Karmelo. This was not a one-on-one fight. It was 2-on-1, but Austin doesn't want to tell the truth, because if he tells the truth, Art, that helps Karmelo to establish his right to stand his ground. In the state of Texas, Art, you have the right to stand your ground. You know what that means? That means you have no duty to flee when you are approached by somebody trying to harm you. In the state of Texas, you do not have to run. In the state of Texas, if somebody is approaching to harm you, you have no duty to run. And if you feel that your life or safety is in imminent danger, you have a right to defend yourself, to include using deadly force. So when you hear people say, why didn't he run? First of all, it was raining. So I assume the ground was wet. These two boys, troublemakers, respectfully, but they were troublemakers. They were athletes, so I'm sure they could run as well. But more than that, Art, Texas's stand your ground law did not require Karmelo to run. He had a right to stand and defend himself. And I'm going to say that if I am Karmelo Anthony's lawyer, I am arguing to the jury. My client felt that his safety was in imminent threat, that he felt he was about to be harmed by two football-playing brothers, both of whom weighed 60 to 70 pounds more than him, and with a combined weight, Art, of nearly 500 pounds. A combined weight These two brothers, Austin and Hunter, of nearly 500 pounds against this one skinny 160-pound black boy, Karmelo.
What is getting me annoyed is when they talk like they have evidence. If you are talking like, oh, I've received text messages, I have eyewitness, I have this, without bringing me the clip to show me that this is what I'm talking about, then I don't believe you. I've seen people with different opinions. The way this guy is talking here, it's like he has the evidence. Yeah, he's talking with facts. That is what they're claiming. My prayer is just to see the footage. I want to see the video of what happened before I can make any assumptions. Whatever thing people like this tells me, I can't even listen. Yeah.
Carmelo Anthony could have been beat that day, and instead he chose to stand his ground. So what's the problem then, Art? Why are white folks all up in arms over this? Y'all wasn't up in arms when Breonna Taylor got. Y'all wasn't up in arms when Trayvon got. Y'all wasn't up in arms with Freddie Gray or Philando Castile or Tamir Rice or Sandra Bland. Y'all wasn't up in arms with Amir Locke.
The controversy today in this case is that this young man, he's also 17, has been released at a track meet. They were both there as spectators, both boys in high school, their whole lives in front of them. He is admitting, he's not even claiming Austin Metcalf had a weapon. Carmelo Anthony has been released on bail.
Well, to be frank, I was surprised that bail was set at $1 million. For context, Dylan Roof's bail was set at $1 million. So a million always sounded high to me. If Carmelo Anthony had a long track record, a long criminal record, then I think it would be different. I think his entire case is going to hinge on his claim that he was acting in self-defense. A jury will have to hear evidence to substantiate that claim, and they will decide whether or not there's any basis to that claim. I think, this is my personal opinion, this case has moved from a local case to a national case because of the racial dynamics at play. And it's
Carmelo is black and Austin was white.
Correct. And it's unfortunate that it seems as if many of the conservatives who typically say, let's wait to hear all the facts, let's get all the evidence, let's let the jury, of this person's peers make a decision, have rushed to judgment in terms of motives, in terms of what happened or didn't happen. And part of the reason that I've been hesitant to make certain comments on this case publicly and why I'm holding my powder is because I've seen time and time again the original narrative that gets set into the media, whether on the left, typically on the left, because this race-related crimes are sort of the province of the left. They have been. I think that's changing now. But I've seen hands up, don't shoot, go up in flames. I've seen sort of the original narrative, in other cases, go up in flames. We've even seen, even when it comes to George Floyd, people go from saying, we see the video, to now certain commentators, particularly on the right, saying, no, Derek Chauvin had nothing to do with George Floyd's death. It was the overdose. So my thing is this, the $1 million bond sounded high to me. I'm not surprised it was lowered. The give, send, go stuff, I've seen how that's been sort of painted. Ultimately, Carmelo Anthony is going to face a jury of his peers, and if what he did if the sort of original reports hold true, that it was just a minor verbal altercation and he pulled out, then he's going to go to jail, going to go to prison for a very, very long time.
That's his opinion, and I'm glad that he's able to actually say this. A lot of people don't want to comment on this because they are scared, like to be cancelled. That is what I observe, especially black people. Some don't want to just even, some already put out conclusions on the case, like Dr. Omoge. What he said throughout that video, to me, I don't even want to listen to that again. Yeah, you don't say this. Like this man stated, this is already a national case. Everybody is looking at this. So a lot will go down as a result of this.
Thoughts on it, Steve?
Well, if you don't mind, just a quick digression. I wanted to commend the father here of the victim who got just roundly criticized for forgiving his son's murder. Because we're conflating forgiveness with forbearance. It doesn't mean we're exempting you from the consequences of your actions. It just means we're not going to harbor bitterness to you. God forgave me, so I'll forgive you. And ultimately, you now have to face the consequences for your actions. And I'm going to release you of that and not let that bitterness take root in me and turn me into a person I don't want to become. That's really why we forgive. And I wanted to make sure that father got a well done, good and faithful servant from me if this topic came up. As to your question, I'm fine in a case of self-defense, like what Delano said, just letting the process play out. Unfortunately, we have a hard time doing that when, based on even what you just said in your lead up there, Megyn, it is it's at the very least an irregular reduction in bail for a case.
I'm a fan of self-defense. It should not be a justification, like to take away someone's life. What I see, people making excuses about this without condemning what this guy did, is where my focus is. I feel sad for the family. For that father to come out and say, oh, I forgive them, that was good. But justice should take place. He should face the consequences of his decisions.
We're letting tribalism get in the way of truth. Being black shouldn't mean getting held to a different standard for better or for worse. We can't keep doing this thing where black people are always 100% victims and 0% responsible. When he had every chance to walk away, he took a life and ruined his own. And that's the only thing that should be black and white here.
The past week has been overwhelming. The lies and their amplification.
This is not going to end. Right is right and wrong is wrong. Good.
If you see any clips after this, that is just for the YouTube algorithm.
What if he says self-defense?
There's no self-defense because kids in here and resolve this issue. Is called conflict resolution.
Again, the evidence is still coming in.
This is definitely a self-defense case because it always is one until you look at the facts.
Because she's fearful of what might happen to her.
Followers for anything, and then
Registration Act is
talking about this man kill.
My summary of the first 100 days is that
if film and TV productions continue to
first term, and you will be very.
Somebody has to say it, so let me be crystal clear.
Maybe the tariff button isn't necessary, so they